I'm Yojimbo. Nice to meet ya, if we haven't already. So let me tell you about this fucking classic Vine, probably the absolute peak of internet humor, honestly. You remember Vine, right? That app where you could post 6-second videos. Man, I miss that shit. TikTok's cool and all, but Vine was just pure, unfiltered chaos in a compact package. Anyway, there's this one Vine, right? It's titled 9+10, and it's just fucking gold. So it starts with this little kid, and he's got this kind of confident look on his face, like he knows he's about to drop some serious wisdom on us or something. And then you hear this off-camera voice, probably an older sibling, asking him, "What's 9+10?" And doesn't miss a beat. This kid just says 21, like dead serious. And the way he says it, man, you can tell he thinks he's fucking nailed it. Now here's where it gets interesting. The beauty of Vine was how it captured these little moments of pure absurdity, right? And this kid's confidence in his completely wrong answer just epitomized that. Like, do you ever have those moments where you're so sure about something, but you're wrong? Happens to me all the time. Like, the other day, I was at the store and swore that I needed more toothpaste. Bought it, got home, and realized I had 3 full tubes. 3 fucking tubes! But in that moment at the store, I was like, no fucking way am I leaving without toothpaste. That's kinda like the kid with his 21 answer, you know? Pure, unshakable certainty. Oh man, that reminds me of this time I was so sure I could fix my car by myself. Watched a bunch of YouTube videos, read some forums, and was like, shit, I got this. Spent the whole weekend under the hood, getting greasy and frustrated. Finally got it all back together, turned the key, and nothing. Not a damn thing. Had to swallow my pride and call a mechanic. Turns out I made it worse. Sometimes you just gotta admit you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But at least I tried, right? And speaking of DIY disasters, you ever put together furniture from IKEA? They make it look so goddamn easy in the instructions, but man, it's like trying to decipher ancient hieroglyphics. One time, I was putting together a bookshelf and ended up with a pile of extra screws and a wobbly piece of shit that looked nothing like the picture. But it's kind of fun, in a way, like a puzzle, until you realize you have to start over. Fucking nightmare. Anyway, back to the Vine. So after the kid says 21, there's this brief pause, like the person filming is processing the sheer ridiculousness of what they just heard. And then you hear them say, "You stupid," with this tone just dripping with disbelief. And the kid goes, "No, I'm not." And then the cherry on top, camera person just hits back with, "What's 9+10?" And the kid confidently replies again, 21. And that's it. That's the whole fucking Vine. 6 seconds of pure internet gold. But here's the thing, man. That Vine, it's like a snapshot of a simpler time. A time when the internet wasn't so, I don't know, complicated. Like back then, you didn't have all these goddamn algorithms shoving content down your throat. You just stumbled on shit, and when you found a gem like 9+10, it was like finding a treasure. And the community on Vine was something else too. People would riff off each other's vines, make remixes, all that good shit. A real creative playground. Remember when you actually had to memorize phone numbers? I still remember my childhood best friend's home phone number. But now, I barely know my own. We rely so much on our phones to store all our info. And maps, man, I used to carry around printed MapQuest directions. Now, if my phone's GPS glitches, I'm basically fucked. It's kind of scary how dependent we've become on technology. Like, can you imagine trying to explain to someone from the 90s that you can now order food, hail a ride, and video chat with someone across the world, all from this little device in your pocket? And speaking of rides, Uber and Lyft really changed the game, huh? Remember when getting a cab was the only option and you had to actually call and wait forever? Now, you just press a button and boom, your ride's there in minutes. It's crazy. But I do miss those random, sometimes weird conversations with cab drivers. You'd get all kinds of stories and wisdom from them. Nowadays, it's just silent rides with people glued to their fucking phones. You know what else I miss? Late night TV before streaming took over. Staying up to watch shows like The Tonight Show or Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Those were the fucking days. Now you can binge an entire series in one sitting, which is cool, but there was something special about waiting for your favorite show to come on and the excitement of seeing something live. Remember those cheesy infomercials that would come on late at night? But wait, there's more! God, those were the best. Now, everything's on demand, and we've kind of lost that element of surprise. Speaking of TV, remember Saturday morning cartoons? That was a whole fucking ritual. Waking up early, grabbing a bowl of sugary cereal, and plopping down in front of the TV for hours. Shows like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, and Bugs Bunny. Kids these days have everything at their fingertips, but there was something magical about those Saturday mornings. And the commercials for toys? Man, I remember begging my parents for the latest action figure or video game. Now it's all YouTube unboxings and influencers telling kids what to buy. Oh, and those childhood sleepovers, staying up all night playing video games and eating junk food. There was this one time we played GoldenEye 007 on the Nintendo 64 until the sun came up. We thought we were so stealthy trying to be quiet, but our parents totally knew what was up. Good times. Now sleepovers seem to be more about scrolling through TikTok and taking selfies. Not saying it's bad, just different. And don't even get me started on music. Making mixtapes, spending hours curating the perfect playlist, recording songs off the radio, trying to hit that stop button before the DJ started talking. Then it evolved into burning CDs. I had this huge binder full of custom mixes. Now it's all about Spotify and Apple Music. Convenient, sure, but there was something personal about those old school mixes. They were like a snapshot of your mood and taste at that exact time. Speaking of music, man, concerts used to be the shit. Before everyone was holding up their phones and recording the whole damn thing. You'd just be in the moment, vibing with the music, not worrying about getting the perfect shot for Instagram. Saw some of the best shows that way. Now it's like people go to concerts just to prove they were there, you know? And what the fuck happened to arcades? Those were the shit. Dropping quarters into machines, trying to beat the high score on Pac-Man or Street Fighter. Now it's all about home consoles and online gaming. Not that I don't love that stuff, but there was something special about going to an arcade with your friends. The noise, the lights, the thrill of trying to win tickets for a cheap-ass prize. Kids these days will never know the joy of a sticky arcade joystick or the smell of burnt popcorn from the snack bar. And speaking of old-school gaming, man, LAN parties were wild. You'd haul your massive CRT monitor and tower over to your buddy's house, set up in the basement, and play Counter-Strike or Warcraft all night. Now everything's online, which is convenient, but there was something about being in the same room, yelling at each other, and stuffing your face with pizza and Mountain Dew. Those were the fucking days. Oh, and while we're on the topic of tech, you remember the struggle of dial-up internet? That god-awful screeching noise when you tried to connect, and God forbid someone picked up the phone while you were online. Now we have high-speed internet everywhere, even on planes, but there was something about that struggle that made the early days of the internet feel like a wild frontier. I used to sneak down to the computer at night to chat on AIM or browse forums, hoping no one would pick up the phone and disconnect me. Those were simpler, shittier times, but we didn't know any better, and that made it kind of magical. And speaking of AIM, remember how important away messages were? You'd spend so much time crafting the perfect cryptic song lyric or inside joke, hoping your crush would see it and get the message. Now, it's all about Instagram stories and Snapchat streaks, which are cool in their own way, but nothing beats the subtle art of the perfect away message. Oh man, and speaking of old internet habits, do you remember Neopets? That was the shit. Taking care of virtual pets, playing games to earn Neo points, and collecting all kinds of weird virtual items. I was obsessed with that stuff. Now it's all about mobile games with in-app purchases, but back then, it was just pure, simple fun. I spent countless hours trying to get the rarest pets and items, and it was such a rush when you finally got something good. Anyway, back to Vines like 9+10. They were the backbone of those simpler times. Just quick, stupid, hilarious moments that didn't require a PhD to understand. And the way they stuck with people, like you still see folks referencing 21 today, which is wild considering how fast internet trends come and go. Man, I could talk about old Vines all fucking night. They don't make them like that anymore. But yeah, that's the 9+10 Vine for you. Unforgettable piece of internet history.